יהי החודש הזה כנבוא הסביחו זה וישום הבית הזה כל ששון וכל שמחו יהי החודש הזה כנבוא הסביחו זה וישום הבית הזה כל ששון וכל שמחו.
Hello everyone, continuing the issue of 100 brachot. There's an age-old minhag, especially in the Ashkenazic countries, that in the summer months, you daven Maariv from Plaga Mincha, 100% mutter. The Magen Avram says in the name of the Shla, Uve Ashkenaz, Shenahaguli Kagdim Arvit. In Ashkenaz, this was the custom. What they're saying that you can daven Maariv early, and you do say Ya'aleh v'Yavo, according to most poskim, does the 100 count now stop and goes back to 1, or no? It continues until it gets dark. The one who dealt with it was Rav Bezalel Stern. I've already introduced him many times. He had a very eclectic life, starting in Hungary, going to Melbourne, Australia, eventually making it to Yerushalayim. And he comes and says that, in his opinion, at first blush, there should be a difference between 6 days of the week and Shabbos Yom Tov. For the 6 days of the week, he says, if you daven Maariv early, that's a special allowance for Maariv. Why? Because Maariv, as the Rambam famously said, you can daven Maariv early because Maariv is not as obligatory as Shachris and Mincha. In his words, Lefi shetfilat arvit reshut ein medaktekim bizmana. But that allowance is restricted, he says, to Maariv. For example, for Sfirat HaOmer, if you daven Maariv, you can count Sfira from the day before. You don't have to say, no, now it's the next day. So therefore, he says, only with regard to Maariv is it the next day. But with regard to everything else, it is not. And therefore, he says, you daven Maariv early on Sunday. If that's the case, do the math. Ki arvit shitpalel b'yom aleph kodem tzeta kochavim nichshav b'minyan habrachot yom aleph. Namely, when you daven Maariv early on Sunday, and you said the 2 brachot before Shema, the 2 brachot after the Shema, maybe the 3 as they do in Chutz La'aretz, and then the 19 blessings of the Amidah, that all comes to your cheshbon of Sunday, because you daven before it gets dark. So therefore, he says, on a regular day of the week, until it gets dark, the 100 count continues. When it gets dark, it goes down to 0. But, he says, Shabbos is different, because Shabbos, where even the Shulchan Aruch says, Magninim litpalel arvit, and the Magen Avram says, even if you don't do it all week, because of the din of Tosefet Shabbos, then he says, the Chol shitpalel Shabbos, Leil Shabbos Kodesh, v'kibel elav b'plaga mincha, av al pishu adayin yom gamor, arayom nichshav legabav ken laila, uchiyom machar mamash. If you daven an early Shabbos on Friday night, then the minute you say Berachot, your count goes down to 0. But not during the week. So, if we would have stopped here, we would have said as follows. If you daven Maariv early during the week, you better keep a tally if you want a makpid on this, because the 4 blessings, at least, that you say at Maariv, together with the 19 blessings of the Amidah, goes for that day. It doesn't go for the next day, with the exception of Shabbos. Shabbos is different because of Tosefes Shabbos. Now, even though he said that, he says at the end of the day, Kushta de Milta, to be truthful, Nirala Niyuta Tisha Kozeino. What I just said is incorrect. Because even by davening Maariv early on Friday night, it's only lechumra. You're acting as if it's Shabbos. You won't eat until you make Kiddush. You'll make sure to have a lechem mishnah at the meal, but not lekula. And therefore he says, Avshit palel arvit, and letzarev habrachot lahashlim, hamea brachot shel yom hamocharat, va'afilu b'tfilat arvit Shabbos, yesh lo letzarfan lahashlim, hamea brachot b'yom erev Shabbos. Namely, Friday night is very much like every other night. If you daven an early Maariv, then your 4 blessings before and after Shema, and your 7 blessings in the Amidah will go for your Friday count. It will not apply to your Shabbos count. Your Shabbos count will start when it gets dark. From this perspective, בין של שבת ובין של חול, צריך מחר להשלים גם מספר ברכות האלו החסרות. If you would have davened Maariv after it got dark, 23 blessings of Maariv at least, 24 in Chutz La'aretz, would go to your tally for the next day. But since you davened early, it goes for that day, not for the next day, and you have to find a way to make it up. And this is true both during the week as well as Friday night. So, if indeed this is an absolute obligation, and you need to have a tally of 100 brachot, those that daven early face a problem. They are at least 23 brachot short, and they'll have to try to find a way to make it up before it gets dark. And since Plag HaMincha is not a lot of time before it gets dark, they're going to have to really find a way to get it in before it gets dark. Maybe have a meal with a borei pri ha'adama, a borei minei mezonot, and a shahakol, and all this before it gets dark. Again, assuming that the count starts when it gets dark.